welcome to episode 3 of A Safe Space. I am so excited to be here. We have lots and lots of exciting stuff planned. Oh, in fact, I forgot the challenge, babe. We gotta add the challenge too. Don't let me forget because I didn't put that on my list. So, I would like to start today with just what we're going to do. We're going to start with wins every episode. So first I want to I would love to hear about your wins for the week. And while we have people coming on and stuff, I'm going to tell you about mine. But we're talking about wins for people who are just joining us. It is really, really important to acknowledge wins. Celebration of what you have accomplished is really important for your brain. It reminds your brain that you are successful and are confident and can do things and achieve things. So I want to start every episode with some wins. I hope people will share theirs for the week, and we're going to talk about it after. But I'm going to tell you mine, and I have decided that mine is going to be my conversation with my son last night. I have been doing thought work for a year now and learning about life coaching and all of that stuff. And so my child hears me talking about this obviously all the time and talking with my husband about it all the time. And last night we were watching a movie or something, and he turned to me and he said, "Mom, I have some thoughts." And I was like, okay. So I stopped what I was doing and I said, what? Tell me your thoughts. And he said, "I have the thought my mom doesn't want to hang out with me." And I said, "Oh, why do you think that? What could possibly have made you think that I don't want to hang out with you?" My thought is, I want to hang out with my kid all the time. And we hang out all the time. So how could you think that? And he said, "Well, you were working all day yesterday, and you told me that we would start hanging out at this time, and then you told me it would be this time, and then you told me it would be this time, and all of the changes made me feel like you didn't want to hang out with me." And I was like, oh my gosh, Tyler, first of all, thank you for coming to me with this information. And secondly, my thought is, if I don't hang out with my kid all the time, then I'm a bad mom. And sometimes when people think negative things about themselves, they show up really weird. Their energy's really weird. So here's what we're gonna do. I am gonna work on my thought that the mom has to be with their kid all the time. And you continue to tell me all of your thoughts that you wanna talk about. And he was like, okay. And that was it. It was absolutely wonderful. Hi, Jessie. My sister is watching. Do you have a win that you would like to share with us, Jess? We're sharing wins right now. I'm so excited about this episode. We have so much to talk about. So I'll just tell you about the challenge right now. For people who are watching this live, people who watched it live, if you say hi to me or wave or whatever, you're going to be put into the challenge for next episode. So I will draw names out of a hat like we did last episode next week. If you just say hi to me while you're watching the video, that's all you gotta do. So Jessie's here. So right now we're celebrating wins. I was just talking about how important it is to celebrate your wins. Talk about your wins. Tell people about your wins. I watched I didn't watch anything. I was on Facebook, and there was some sort of group. I don't even remember what it was. Like support group for moms or something like that. And somebody said, oh no, it was coaching. It was a coaching group. And the group said, how do you feel about bragging? And I don't even understand what that means. Everybody started going on about oh, it's selfish. Oh, it's uppity. Oh, it's this, that, and the other thing. It's so negative. But what we're really talking about is when someone says I had a win. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is good to do. What people get upset about is when people seem showy. But a person can't seem showy. That's the narrative that you put on that person. So that's probably what's going on in your brain and not theirs, right? Actually, when it's us, it's helpful to talk about your wins. my husband and I have a note page in my phone of all of the celebrations that we've had this year. We thought that that would be a really, really important thing to do. And of course, I had just found life coaching a year ago. So we have celebrated all of our wins for the year. And what we do is, we crack open a bottle of wine and we say, good job, baby. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's really, really, really important to acknowledge it. So my sister just celebrated a win. She went back to work this week after having a baby. Oh, I'm gonna get emotional. Oh, damn it. She had a baby in September. Fuck. And she went back to work this week and she had a really hard time with it. And so she is celebrating that she successfully worked this week. And what she has chosen to do is so interesting, and we're gonna have her on as a guest very, very soon. She and I talked about it tonight. So we're gonna talk about what it's like to go back to work after having a baby. Won't that be an interesting conversation? So anyway, so celebrate your wins. So the thing that I really want to talk about today is goal setting. Goal setting goes along with wins so much, and here's why. Goal setting brings up all the stuff in you that you want to ignore. When you say, I am going to achieve this specific goal by this specific date, you immediately get all these feelings. If it makes you nervous, of course. If it's not a goal that that you think you can easily achieve, all of these feelings are going to come up. And when those feelings come up, that's what I want you to notice. When me and my husband first started doing this again, I don't know, maybe like 6 months ago, I think I decided I started this new thing in the house, and we were going to put our goals on the kitchen refrigerator. Every week we were going to make a goal for the following week, and then we were going to have a celebration every Friday when we wrote our new goals and talked about whether or not we succeeded. And the first couple of weeks, I mean, we actually don't do it anymore because it's so hard. When you say, I am taking responsibility for doing this thing, I can't even tell you. Try it. That's what today is about. Try it. So my goal, obviously I made a goal of making this show. This has been something that's very, very important to me. I wanted to create a safe space. And so that is what I have done. I created a safe space, literally and figuratively. And I'm so proud and so excited. And it's because this is something that I decided I was going to do. And even though it made my stomach hurt, and even though every time I go live, right before I want to throw up, I just do it because this is what I want. So the only way that you're going to get what you want is if you make it a goal. I used to think, before I found thought work and all of this, I used to think I want a pool in my backyard. This is one of my lifetime goals. Always has been. And it is something I'm going to achieve. I'm going to achieve it. But what I used to think was, I'm not saving for it currently. I'm waiting for this magical time when I have $50,000 just lying around. That's what I was waiting for, really, seriously, in my brain. One day, I would say to myself, one day we'll be able to afford it. Well, that's not how goals work. That's called a wish. But if you make it a goal, it becomes a whole different animal. If you say, baby, we are going to put $5 in the bank every week until we have $50,000. That's a goal. That's something that you can achieve. But if you say, one day I'll be able to do this, I'll just wait, you're not doing anything. And you won't know what scares you about it until you make it a goal. So that's the lesson for today, is please set goals for yourself. Just in your mind, even start thinking about what that could possibly look like, and what maybe what you could be thinking about that is making you so nervous about setting the goal. So that's my shtick. We have a guest, but he's not I don't think he's on, is he? I don't see anybody requesting to talk to me. But we have a guest tonight. I'm going to have my husband try to find him as we speak. His name is Michael Crea. He is one of my, oh my God, my dearest, dearest friends. We met at Shenandoah, actually. Oh, Rachel has a question. Do you suggest focusing? Oh, here we go. Here's Michael. Mike, let me get you in 1 second. Rachel wants to know, do you suggest focusing on one goal or several? That is such a great question. And I would say, I cannot tell you what to do. You have to learn what your brain is best at and just get really, really curious. For first time starting out, if you've never actually done this before, I would say make it one. Because I'm telling you, it stirs up shit, man. It's like, tell me how it goes. I want everybody who's here right now, text me, email me, let me know what came up for you. The first time I set a goal like this, it was like, by next Friday, I will have offered to help people. Literally, I think that was like week 1, was like, I will offer to help 3 people this week. And my stomach was like, whoa. It was terrible. So I would suggest start with 1, but learn how you do it best. You could have like, I'm going to do something for actors, Rachel, so we're going to do something about objectives and super objectives and all that because it's all the same shit. But you could have like an impossible goal, which is what like my group is talking about right now because it's, 2021. An impossible goal is something that you do not believe that you can achieve. So my impossible goal for this year is to make $100,000. I do not believe that I can do that. And making that my goal took me about a week to be able to like go through all of the things in my brain that needed to happen in order for me to be able to say that sentence, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that's my impossible goal. So that's like kind of like my super objective. And then my objective is to do this show, is to, show up every week, show up consistently, engage with people, help people, all that stuff. And so what I'm doing right now is focusing on this. So like every time we've had a show, my set looks different. I love how I call it my set. Like my living room or whatever you would call this, my nook. My nook. That's what we should call it. Since I call it that at home, why wouldn't I call it that here? So this is my nook. And now there's lighting. I mean, there was always like lighting, but you know what I mean? Like this is crazy because this is what we're focusing on right now. So I'm just so excited. Rachel, tell me how it goes. I'm so excited for you. So here we go. Michael Crea. Oh, I'm not doing this. I have a producer. So Michael Crea, ladies and gentlemen, my best friend from Shenandoah Conservatory. We went to school together in college 1.5 million years ago. Well, he can introduce himself to you. I'll just let him do it. Michael!
Hello.
How are you?
Hello, I'm wonderful. How you doing?
Wow, it is so good to see you.
I'm in the safe space.
Yeah, you are. You're the first one.
Yes.
The first guest.
I love
Safe Space, Michael Crea. Wow.
It's amazing.
How awesome. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
My sister just said, Michael!
Jesse, congrats on your win.
Yes, Jesse. Congratulations.
Yes.
You're so strong. Going back to work is hard, man.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that, Michael, going back to work?
Oh, it's great. Oh.
Did you get time off?
Me? No.
No. See, we were just talking about that too.
That's a whole nother discussion.
It is. Hey, babe, can you turn him up? Is that possible? Can he be louder?
I just turned myself up.
Is that possible?
I just turned myself.
I don't think that'll work.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that bad. I'm just curious.
I can talk louder. I used to perform.
That's great. Yeah. All right, we turned you up, Michael.
Awesome.
No need to be more dramatic than you already are. Okay, so Michael, would you please share with the group your most recent win?
Sure.
First story.
Yeah, sure. So I have a 17-month-old son, and his name's Anthony, and he has been doing great with, meeting all of his milestones and growing, and he's been healthy, thank goodness. But just last week, he was going through a little bit of a sleep regression, and so, my wife and I were, just kind of dealing with that in our own way, and trying our best not to get frustrated when we get woken up in the middle of the night, and trying not to start any new habits, and going into the bedroom and being in there with him. We're trying to help him, just kind of get over it himself. But he's also cutting teeth, and I wasn't sure if it might have been teething or a growth spurt or something, but he was just going through some type of a sleep regression. And I remember thinking to myself and starting to practice the thought that instead of when I wake up in the middle of the night because he's screaming, instead of getting frustrated, I should be happy and I should get excited because he's meeting his milestones. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing right at this exact time, and there's nothing wrong with him. Everything is fine. So instead of saying, ugh, I'm awake, I'm annoyed, why can't he go back to sleep? What's wrong with him? I would legitimately just wake up in the middle of the night and just lay in bed and be like, this is amazing. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing right now. It's an 18-month sleep regression. He's going to be 18 months old in a week and a half. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, and he's exactly where he's supposed to be. And it just made me feel so much more at ease, so much more calm. And here we are a week later, and he's over it. At least as it appears as though he's over it, and he's through it. And there was much less stress and anxiety about it as there was back, in the earlier sleep regressions, or anything that would happen that would just cause fear or frustration or anxiety.
Well, and what was the thought? What was the fear? Do you remember what it was before you decided that everything was fine?
What's wrong with him?
What's wrong? Something must be wrong. Something must have gone wrong. Because what was your evidence of that? Just that he was waking up in the middle of the night? Just waking up in the middle
of the night. He'd been doing so great with it, and then and something must have changed, but we don't know what it was that changed. We were doing the same routines. We were, everything, nothing had been different in his environment. And, all of a sudden he was just waking and screaming and, and just spending,
For how long?
It was usually, sometimes it would literally be like 2 minutes, but then there were other times where it would be an hour.
So you sometimes could make 2 minutes of crying mean that something was wrong with your 18-month-old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Isn't that huge to acknowledge?
It's very, yes.
Like, look at what our brains do.
Yes.
When we are tired, when we are scared, when we are stressed, our brains have the ability to take a piece of evidence like an 18-month-old waking up in the middle of the night and crying for 2 minutes, and puts the thought in our head, oh, something's wrong.
Right.
So maybe he's broken.
Exactly.
I used to think that all the time.
Yeah.
Something must be wrong with time. Like, what? Because he would be perfect, and then we would have a bad day. And I would decide that he was bad.
Right. Yeah.
I used to ask my sister. I'm sure she can tell you stories about this because we lived together, for the first 2 years of his life. And I used to look at her and be like, I think maybe he might be like turning bad. And she was like, he's like 6. I don't think that that's what's happening.
Right.
But was that the story that you wanted to share?
No, I was just sharing. No, I was just sharing my recent win with you. But
this is the story. Is
the story.
Right?
Well, that's like. I
mean, you had so many wins. It's like.
Well, the reason why that win with my son happened was because of the work that we were doing, and because of the first bigger story that I wanted to share, and which is why I wanted to come on.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I love that.
All right.
Keep that.
Okay.
So tell us.
Okay.
Tell us your story.
So I'm gonna try and be as quick as possible. I don't want to bore anybody, but 12 years ago, I was having a routine blood work done at a doctor's physical, and everything was normal. There was nothing weird about it. It was nothing out of the ordinary. And I had gotten the blood work done. I finished up my appointment and I was driving home. And when I was driving home, I started to feel nauseous, and I wasn't really sure why. And I went through a stoplight And all of the next thing I know, I'm in the side of a building. I had smashed my car right through a brick building. Thank goodness I was okay. My knee was a little bit messed up. You know, the airbag deployed in my face. I think that's what kind of, got me awake. They took me to the hospital, and it was like it was the craziest thing that had happened to me in my life up until that point, medically.
Do you remember anything? You just blacked out and drove
Yep,
into a building?
I felt nauseous. I blacked out and I woke up, with my car in the side of a building.
You woke up like through the wall?
No. Yes, my car had gone through the wall, yes.
And then you like came to and were like, what the hell?
I came to when the airbag hit my face, yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay.
So.
Okay, now, what made you feel nauseous? What were you thinking at the time?
Oh gosh, back in 2008, I was listening to music. I mean, I don't recall having any type of thought that made me feel that's kind of started that feeling or brought that up within me. It just kind of came out of nowhere. I think what happened was I hadn't eaten anything. I just given a couple vials of blood, and I needed to get something in my system, and my sugar probably bottomed out, and that was it. That's my guess, but I don't know if that's true.
A great guess.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what they chalked it up to at the hospital. I mean, they did tests and whatnot, and everything was fine. So they just said, all right, it must have been, syncope or whatever it's called, the vasovagal syncope. And
look at you. Baby.
Oh, I've heard that term a lot in the last 12 years because of what happened to me. But that kind of that.
I don't think that's what happened to you.
Well, that event sparked.
You didn't vasovagal.
Huh?
You didn't vasovagal.
I don't know. I'm not a nurse.
We'll talk about
I'm
this
not a nurse
offline,
like Tyson Stahl RN, so.
That's not what happened. But anyway, I think your blood sugar was low. I think that's
there you go. So.
And I think this triggered that hospitals are scary.
Yes. So what happened from then was it kind of snowballed from there, and it got to the point where every time I had to go to the doctor, I started feeling anxious and nauseous and like I was not in control and going to pass out again. And there was one time a couple of years after that where I was at the hospital for a family member's surgery, not even my own, and I passed out in the hospital. And I had to get taken on a bed to the emergency room, and I was so embarrassed and so ashamed and like so, just mortified. And it just made everything worse. And, it just got to the point where I couldn't do anything medical. I couldn't be anywhere medical without feeling that way. And I had to be put on Xanax, and I had to, just kind of try and figure out ways to make myself as calm as possible. And make sure that I, always had food, always had something to drink, always had the medicine. And it just was getting worse and worse. And, the only way I was there for the birth of my two children is because I had lots and lots of medication in my system. And that's the
yes, I remember that.
Yes.
As your nurse.
Exactly. So
during that time.
Right. So that's the long and short of it. And I just got to the point where I started feeling very helpless, and I was like, I really don't know how I'm going to be able to handle having doctor's appointments, going to the hospital. God forbid there's an accident and I don't have my Xanax with me. What do I do? And so,
well, and do you ever think what happens when I get old?
Oh yes, all the time.
Aww.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. What happens when I have to start going to the hospital more frequently and going to the doctor more frequently? Things start happening. Oh yeah. All those thoughts were racing through my head. And I had so many people tell me, Michael, you're fine. There's nothing wrong. You're good. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a room. It's just a needle. It's just a this and that, what have you. And I know that people were trying to be helpful by saying those things to me. But the truth is that was probably the worst thing they could have said to me, because not only did none of that work, it made it worse. And, I remember there was a time when I was at the dermatologist, and like the doctor did nothing to me, and I started feeling like I was going down. And the reason why was because in my head I was going, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. And I'm just like, you know, and
So let me ask you that. Why was that your solution? Why were you telling yourself that you're not supposed to be scared?
because so many people were telling it to me, Tyson, that I started believing it, and I started that's really the only place that my mind would go, because
Yeah.
family members were telling it to me. Other medical professionals were telling it to me. You know, every single time I would go in to get blood work done, and I'm all medicated up, and I'm being very honest with them and saying, like, look, you know, I might fall. Why? You're fine. There's nothing wrong. It's easy. It's easy. You know, and just the reaction from people, you know, when I would tell them that I'm afraid or that I'm anxious or that, you know, I had this accident, was just, I think they were trying to be helpful, but in the process, they were just, it was the worst thing that they could have said.
Yeah. Well, I think the knee-jerk reaction is to make you feel better.
Yes. Yes.
And they think that telling you that everything is fine will make you feel better.
Yes. Right.
And in fact, that's not what's true.
Right.
And so you and I spoke,
Yes.
and I told you
Yes.
that.
So we spoke, and you know, you were aware of all of these
Yeah.
you know, issues that I was dealing with and the anxiety that I had. And, you know, we talked about it a lot, you know, when you were you know, when you were going through nursing school. But I really took this as an opportunity to take this coaching, because, you know, you always tell me, you're like, okay, do you want me to be your friend now, or do you want me to be your coach? And, and I'm like, I want you to coach me right now. And, I remember very distinctly you know, you saying, you know, what if you change the thought, and you change the thought just simply to, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to feel these things. Because the reason why is, when you start allowing yourself to feel those things, it just dulls it and dilutes it, and it doesn't make it as strong inside of you. And I was like,
That's right.
in my head, I'm like, okay, all right, we'll give this a try. It's not going to work.
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll give this a try. It's not going to work. So last month I had a physical, a normal 12-month physical. And that was shortly after you told me about this, and we had that coaching. And I was like, all right, let's give this a try. So I started doing that thought work, and I started just repeating those phrases every night before I went to bed, every morning when I woke up, whenever I had a quiet moment. And then I decided, I said, okay, I'm not going to take the Xanax before I go to the doctor, but I'm going to have it with me just in case. And on the way to the doctor, I'm driving and I'm saying it all over and over. And I'm in the office and I'm saying it over and over. And I'm in the exam room and the doctor's talking to me and I'm saying it in my head over and over and over. And before I know it, the appointment is over. And I did not have any anxiety. I didn't have any fear. I was really focusing on that thought work, but I didn't have to utilize any of the things that I had been utilizing for the last 12 years to get me through something like that. And I just remember driving home feeling like almost in tears by how incredible it felt, how in control I felt, how proud of myself I was for doing that. And so I shared that with you. I told you about it. We talked again, and I knew very well, you know, I knew full well that the very next week I had lab work to do. And you're telling me on the phone, you're like, well, now you're going to try it with the blood work, and it's going to work with the blood work. And I'm like, okay, guys, yep, it is. It's going to work. And I'm already in my head, I'm like, I'm never going to do it. I'm not going to be able to. I'm going to have to take the medicine. But I'm like, you know, I'll give it a shot. You know, I've got a week to prepare as opposed to just a couple of days. Let me start with the thought work again. So I did it that entire week. I was constantly just practicing that thought work and constantly just reminding myself that it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared. It's normal to feel scared. There's nothing wrong. You're safe. Everything's fine. And over the course of the week, I found myself getting a little bit more stronger and more motivated, and so the day came, and I said same thing. You know, my mother had to take me, but I still just took the medicine.
Hold on, wait a minute. You don't drive. to
I
your
do
appointments?
not.
I want to point
I
this
do not
out.
drive. Yes, I do not drive to and
So
from.
that's going to be maybe our 6-month goal.
Okay.
How does that make you feel if we make that a 6-month
The
goal?
just it's like fluttering up already. So I'm gonna
Okay.
have to I'm gonna have to practice that.
Okay, so that's a good place to
Yeah.
start, I'd say. I don't want like utter dread, but also I don't want like, oh yeah, I could do
Right.
that.
Right.
I say like fluttery is probably a
Yeah,
good place.
exactly.
So we'll say 6 months you're gonna be driving yourself to the doctor.
Perfect. So yeah,
Like a big
so my mother takes me, and she knows all of, the history with me and what happens to me. So, she's just there to just hang out with me and talk to me, and I'm doing the thought work, and same thing, I'm just repeating it and just using it to just calm my mind and reaffirm those thoughts within myself, and the entire thing happens and everything's great. And I mean, I cannot tell you the feeling of accomplishment when we walked out of there. I have not been able to do that in over a decade. I never thought in a million years that I would be able to not be on some type of medication or utilize some other type of crutch, to do something like that ever. And so it was just the most incredible feeling, and so that's why I had to share with you and talk to you about it.
Well, it's funny that you say you were like almost crying on the way home, because your voicemail to me, the first sentence is, I could seriously weep right now. And I am not
I could
joking.
have. I could have. Yeah.
And my business coach told me, because I told her about this story. This was my win for the week, many, many weeks
Mhm.
ago, was that I had coached someone through this,
Sure.
and they had such a success. And she said, and now you have that voicemail forever. So now every time that you get nervous, like the last time I went live, I listened to it before I went live,
Awesome.
because my stomach didn't feel good. I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it feels right before you go on stage. I mean, I don't know. Do you get stage fright anymore? Probably not.
But I know what you. I know. I understand.
I don't do it often enough, and so because I don't, it like, oh my
Yeah.
god. And even today before I start, I'm like, you
Yeah.
know. But she was like, play that voicemail for yourself, because you have that
Mhm.
forever. And now I have a 30-second clip that's like, you even say in the voicemail, you're amazing, you're awesome, I love you so much, you helped me, you changed things. Like, it's such a great
Sure.
thing that now I can
Mhm.
use. And additionally, what you are doing right now is so important, because so many people are going to see this and hear what you just
Sure.
said and think, oh my gosh, if he can do it, then maybe I could.
Yeah. I,
And that is why it's so important to share your story.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you told me that you wanted me to come on here, I did have an initial thought of, are people going to think that this thought is silly? Are people going to think that me just changing my thoughts slightly to it's okay to be afraid is really easy to do, and it's so simple, and why did you need somebody else to help you get there? My answer
Yeah.
is yes, because
Yeah.
I have 12 years of experiencing it one type of way. It never got any better. In fact, it was getting worse. The things people were trying to help me, and how they were trying to help me deal with it, wasn't working. I was talking to so many people about it. I was talking to a therapist about it. I was talking to my general doctor about it. Every single time I got in front of a medical professional, I said it. And it was nobody ever said to me, well, it's okay to be afraid. And I think
Well,
I,
here's why. Let me use this as a
sure,
teaching opportunity. So people, this is so, so important. Listen to me, everybody. When you have a problem and you work from your actions, you try to change your actions to fix the problem. That doesn't work, because the thought is the
right,
same. If the thought is, don't be scared, 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 then you're gonna freak out no matter if you took
yep,
Xanax, No matter if you had your mother drive you to the doctor's appointment, no matter if you have your wife hold your hand every time that you're there, it doesn't matter what you do, the thought is the same. You cannot change your actions in order to change your result. Acting friends, again, I don't, were you watching at the beginning, Mike? We're going to talk about like super objectives and objectives with this too. This is kind of my point, is like my introduction to the
Right.
actors and my friends and your friends
Sure.
groups and us together. But you have a, if you have an objective, does it make any motherfucking sense to change your actions? No. In order to change the result, you have to change your objective. And so the thought has to be different, not the
Yeah.
actions. If I say to plead in a scene with you and I'm thinking, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared, that's not going to do anything.
Well,
you know, does that make sense?
it does, and it does, and I think this is connected, but I was trying to change my actions so often that it was making my thoughts worse, because it was getting to the point where my thoughts were, you're such a baby. You're such a baby. You have to have your mom drive you. You have to have your wife here all the time. You can't do this by yourself. You're pathetic. You're ridiculous. This is silly. And it was just, so the thoughts were getting worse because I was trying to constantly change my action about it. Not, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. There's nothing, you know, you're fine. You're fine. You're used to this. You've seen this before. You've done this before. It didn't matter.
And you told yourself that for 12 years,
right.
And it didn't change, and it never occurred to you to be like, maybe I should do something different, because you were changing all your actions all the time. You know, you were like, I am doing things different. This time I slept better before I went. This time I ate food. This time I took Xanax. Like that doesn't work.
Right.
Working from your action line's silly. And so this is such an important piece, and I'm so glad that we got to talk about that. So let's wrap this up, because I feel like this is a good place. This was absolutely wonderful, and you are so brave to do this. And it's going to help so many people. So I really, really appreciate you being my first. And the person that I practiced thought were gone mostly. So
can I say one last thing, just in case there are any nurses watching? Instead of when you have a patient who's afraid, if you do say to them, you know, it's no big deal, it's fine, you're fine, everything, you know, it's easy. Maybe that might be the worst thing one of your patients hears. So maybe help them and just say, well, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. Because if any of the nurses that I ever had said that to me, I probably would have helped a lot more than what they were saying to me.
Yeah. Do you know what I say to my patients?
What's that?
I played I'm the best nurse in the world card, because I feel like if I present that, then they'll believe it.
Sure.
And so my sentence is, it's okay to be scared, because now you got
me.
There you
go. Yep.
The best news is I'm here now. So everything, I've said that a million times. The best news is I'm here now, and so everything's going to be fine, because I'm going to be your advocate, and we're going to get through this no matter what. Promise.
That's perfect. I love that.
That's my speech. But I love that you said that. Thank you so, so much. And I know how much you love nurses, so you're not like saying anything about like the care of nurses. This is, and actually what we actually are taught this. This is an NCLEX question, is like, what should you say when presented this? And the answer is not, don't be scared.
Sure.
And when you take the NCLEX, you know that that's the correct answer.
Sure.
But then when you get in front of a patient, all you want to do is make that patient feel better. And you think that that's how to do it, and it's not.
For sure. I've never once thought that they were trying to be condescending or, you know, trying to put me down. I know that their objective was to try and help me, but I'm just saying, and this is just me personally, I'm just saying that if somebody would have just said, it's okay to feel those things, it's okay to feel scared, I would have felt better than when they said, oh, don't be scared.
Yeah, right. I'm terrified. I think I couldn't read the comment that Rachel just said, but I'm terrified of going to the dentist too. And I mean, terrified. I don't know if you know this about me, Michael.
You told me. You told me. Yes, for sure.
Xanax to go to the dentist. people are like, and the bitch of it is, it doesn't work.
Oh, no. Yeah.
The last time I became a hysterical mess.
Wow.
People were coming around the corners like, what is going on in there? It's ridiculous. For a cleaning, I'm talking. Ridiculous.
It's okay
Anyway,
to feel those things,
so
Tyson. It's okay.
it's okay to be scared. But the person who when I sat down in the chair, the person said, don't be scared. And I was like, oh, thanks. Now I'm all better.
Thank God for you.
I was like, what a ridiculous thing to say to a person.
Right.
I mean, I get it, but it doesn't work. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. I love you.
I love you too, boo. Mwah.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay, baby.
All righty.
Have a good night.
Bye. I think you have to disconnect
Bye.
me, but see you later.
Yes, my producer is coming
There you
now
go.
to do it. Thanks. Love you,
Love
babe.
you. Mwah.
All right, so the last thing that we're going to do, so we're done. This is the end of episode 3. I hope everybody had a good time. I know I did. We are definitely going to have more guests because I think that worked. What do y'all think? I think that was beautiful. So let's do this again. I'll see you next week. In closing, Mike and I have a very, very special friend who went to Shenandoah with us. I'm just going to cry all the time. That's what this is going to be. We should call it a safe space to cry because this is number 3 today. Number 3 in 45 minutes probably. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to do it. Mike and I have a friend that went to Shenandoah with us. Her name is Stephanie. Both of her parents were in the ICU with COVID. Her father was there, and her mother just got home. She is not able to be with them, of course. She lives very far away from them, and she's updating us all the time, and that's beautiful. And so that's how I can tell you all of this. And she just announced that they're planning on moving to the state that their family is in because of this. Her father's on ECMO, I believe. I haven't gotten updated today, but last I checked, he's on ECMO and mom is home. So I am sharing their link because she is a Shenandoah alum, like Michael and I, and we both want to share our support. And so here's the link right there. I don't care if you donate. I don't care about that. Honestly, sharing it is going to do way more than donating $5. Quite honestly, seriously. So if you don't want to donate, you do not have to. I don't care, but share it. That's all you got to do because Facebook is magical. Like really, this venue that we have is really cool. And so probably 1,000 people, and the more people that we can get to share it, the more that we can. I mean, and even like here we are telling the story. Tell people the story if you want to. My heart is with you, Stephanie. I think about you very, very often. And as a nurse treating COVID patients, my heart is right there with you, girlfriend. So I hope that we can help you. And we're thinking about you all the time. And I apologize for crying so much during this episode. God, I am emotional today. So, I don't want to end this on tears. So that's it. How do you think it went? All right, here we are, ending episode 3 of Safe Space with mascara running down my face. I want to thank Michael Crea. I want to thank my husband. I Make Mobile Productions, who did all of this. The set design, the lighting, the sound, the video, everything. This is all my husband, Ben. Couldn't do it without him. And I hope you learned something, and I hope it was fun and helpful. And I will see you next week. If you say hi to me during this video, you are put into a challenge for next week for 1 free hour of coaching. So if you watched it live, or here's the kicker, if you share it, if you share this video, no matter when you do that, I don't care, you will be in a drawing next week for a free hour of coaching. Remember our winner last week, Kelly Rosafina? We're going to talk on Sunday. So excited about that. I'll see you then, girl. So yes, like, share, tell everybody you know. This is what we're doing. We're creating a safe space. I feel safe enough that I cried 3 times in an hour, which is maybe not a record, I'll admit, but still something of note. I love y'all. I had such a fun time, and I'll see you next week. All right. Have a good evening.